What's going on, guys? It's your boy TVG Hero here, and I'm here for another video. I'm trying to be more consistent. I'm trying to do once a week. You know, I got the face cam, no extra stuff going on. You can see the manga. Oh, can I point? Ooh, that's a struggle. Manga collection over here. At some point, I'm gonna do a video on the collection I have so far, and I don't know when that'll be, but just know it'll be at some point. I need to get some more of this series that I've been trying to get. But anyway, that's not why we're here today. We're here today to talk about the missed opportunities of Jujutsu Kaisen. I know a lot of us, even on TikTok, social media, everywhere, have been trying to figure out what it is that Gege is going. Is he losing motivation? Is he throwing? Is this the best writing he's ever seen? And this is personally my opinion on the matter. The missed opportunities of JJK, I wrote down a list on an index card of like everything that I feel like is, well, never mind, it's okay. You probably can't even see it. Everything that I feel like needs needed more attention or should have been handled differently. So I'm gonna work um, from the least important to the most important. So let's start at the bottom. The bottom is, oh, by the way, spoiler warning and spoiler alert for anyone who's not caught up in the manga. Click off. I'm letting you know now. Spoilers. All right, but let's get down to the breakdown. First off, we're gonna start with Miwa. Miwa's hype. I mean, unless it's coming up soon, I don't foresee Gege actually doing anything with it. It kind of defeats the purpose because we got some of Miwa's stuff in the Culling game, and I'm kind of confused why Gege chose that approach to include Miwa, and here we are with no Miwa. I feel like the jump between the Culling game and now it was. I mean, I get it. She's not a major player, but I feel like Miwa could have shined a little bit more. Not even a little bit more, a lot more in the Culling games. Especially when we look at someone like Kusakabe, who's been literally jumping Sukuna and has basically almost has a better moveset than Miwa, but has like the same kit kind of. Like Miwa's trying to be Kusakabe, so and that's just something that I feel like it's a missed opportunity, and I feel like it was a waste. A lot of the things that I'm thinking of is I hope that we see more of a story. Most of these are story driven for the most part. Miwa's hype is one of them that's on the smaller list. Let's see another one. Kashimo. Kashimo was one of those things where I think because the Gojo thing happened before it, with Gojo dying, I think the reason why the Kashimo one didn't bother me as much because they did it to Gojo, but now they did it to Kashimo, and the way that they made it look like he was special but he wasn't, it's a whole power scaling thing that I have going on. I've been arguing on TikTok, y'all, and I really gotta stop doing that. I've been seeing some outrageous takes, but not the point. Kashimo, I feel like was a waste for someone to be so powerful and base to then finally use the curse technique. And then, yeah, he was doing a little something, and then he got hemmed up for real, for real. But then again, now that I'm thinking about it, maybe that wasn't a missed opportunity, or maybe it was. I just feel like Kashima does not have the he did not have the time to show that that's where he needed to be, and obviously he's from a different era, so it kind of just doesn't make sense for me. Who else is on the list? Let's see. Higuruma's domain. What was the point of Higuruma's domain in the battle with Sukuna? Gege has this thing right now where he just keeps throwing everything at Sukuna that has hacks or a Duraneg or some form of harm, and he's just retconning it, in my opinion, and that's something that's crazy to me that that's the route he wants to take with the story, and that's not something that I personally want to see happen to the story, and I feel like this is where the story is taking a turn for me. As you guys don't know, my one of my favorite top three manga, almost anime, right now is Chainsaw Man is number one, JJK is number two, and then number three is something in between. I haven't even figured out my number three, but JJK is number two. It is what it is. You can hate me, I don't care. It's my top two so far. But I feel like Gege has taken the not necessarily the love out of the recent chapters, but I feel like he's been running was something that narratively isn't really making the most sense. That's not to say that Sukuna should not be dominating. I'm not saying that by any imagination. He should be dominating, but I think we have to think about what Gege is intentionally putting in Sukuna's way for him to knock down. I feel like is a little much. It kind of defeats the purpose of those things because we only see those things used on we needed to see those things used in the caliber of someone like Sukuna. That's basically all we were thinking about. And so the fact that someone like Higuruma in his domain, even though he managed to do reverse curse technique and he got faded anyway and folded like an omelet, the executioner's sword, I feel like although Sukuna was able to dodge it, I feel like we missed something. There's something missing there. Like, why didn't Sukuna and Higuruma clash domains? I feel like there was other ways to write Higuruma's domain in Sukuna instead of letting Sukuna just be like, yeah, I'll just walk into it. No biggie. I'm interested in seeing Executioner's Sword. And I feel like for me, that's something that I didn't necessarily like. It's not that it's bad writing. I think that it's not the greatest because the type of caliber of a character Higuruma was and the domain and everything that came with it, for Sukuna to do it, for Gege to write it like that, it didn't really make a lot of sense to me. It still had me scratching my head, and I'm at this point, and like I told you guys, JJK is my top two. I don't really look for the chapters anymore, except now I am. I mean, I'm still reading the chapters weekly, bi-weekly, because of course I'm still tuned in. But sometimes I will say those chapters where Sukuna was like just eating things, and the way that Gege has written Sukuna being jumped, it's kind of like the way he's drawing the fight scenes recently kind of feels like nobody's trying at all. Like between Yuji being able to do blood manipulation, Chozo blood manipulation, I feel like the moves that they're using are not really the most optimal moves, and that's not even all that they have. And if Gege wants to save Yuji's kit for later, at least give us a better reason for that than they're just jumping him, and Yuji's clearly not. I would like to say going all out. Why even why do it like that? Because if anything, it takes away from your characters that you've been building. The story of Yuji, or even the story of Yuji and Chozo together fighting as brothers, like there's so many missed story plot lines and concepts that I'm not a fan of. I'm not proud of. But between Higuruma's domain, I mean, there's just a missed opportunity to say the least. The next missed opportunity, I'm going to talk about Yuki Tsukumo. Yuki was bad product placement. I think it was good writing because, well, actually, no. Let me tell you why. Because right underneath Yuki Tsukumo, I have Kenjaku wasted. So I really feel like the reason why Yuki is not important is because we wasted Kenjaku. What was the point of making Kenjaku be such this big villain with so many different curses? That's another thing. If Kenjaku comes back, I will eat my own words. But the thing is that why do all that? Why do the whole people die and come back? We're not sure. So many times we're doing it for Gojo. Now we're gonna do it for Kenjaku. Now we're doing it for whoever else because Ui Ui is dropping them back to be reverse curse technique. What's the point? There has to be a goal here, and I guess it becomes senseless at a certain point. And so I think Yuki is a waste because Kenjaku was wasted. If you're going to use Yuki as special grade fodder, mind you, as special grade fodder, you can't just let Kenjaku get off screened. Well, not even off screen, he got one shotted by Yuta, which is like another plot point in itself that's been thrown to the side and wasted. Like, why didn't we see Kenjaku versus Yuta in an all-out fight? I mean, I get it, Yuta wanted to fight Sukuna, but there was enough time between Gojo and everyone else jumping Sukuna that Yuta and Kenjaku could have had the fight. I mean, it literally showed Yuta fighting all of the cursed spirits, and still he went to go fight Sukuna. So I feel like there's so many missed opportunities. And it's not to say that I personally feel like it's borderline bad writing. That could be a stretch. I could be jazzing it, but I feel like it's borderline bad writing when you have someone like a special grade and you emphasize with the whole series what makes them so special, and then you throw the special grade as fodder for the villain to make him look more menacing, and you do it successfully. Because at first I was on board with Yuki being hemmed up by Kenjaku and her being a star platinum a star platinum vessel. Is it star platinum? A vessel in the past, like that added plot points to it. That added a lot to it, and I was okay with that. But then when you have Kenjaku, who is one of the villains that we need to literally protect or literally show that he's worth fighting, it's kind of like, all right, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? So Yuki and Kenjaku are really tied together, and then another point that I had was Gojo versus Kenjaku. It's not that I wanted to see Gojo kill Kenjaku. I wanted to see them interact. What was the point of when Gojo came back to threaten Kenjaku just for him to only fight Sukuna and never see Kenjaku on his way out through death's door? It doesn't really. It's so many plot points that Gege set up, and he's like letting them tumble one after the other. Now, hear me out. If Gege ends up flipping this all on its head and Kenjaku comes back, Gojo comes back, they beat Sukuna, but then Kenjaku does something with Sukuna's body, or whatever the case may be, or they take over Yuji's body, so they use Yuji to host Sukuna's body. Whatever the case may be, because I stopped theorizing what they're gonna do, because Gege has been throwing me so many lefts, I can't imagine where we're going next. But because of all those curveballs, there has to be something. The former best friend, you're telling me that we let Gojo die while the body of his best friend was being basically a parasite takeover, and we let Yuta, which, mind you, I still want Yuta to kill Kenjaku, but I needed something to be said between Gojo and Kenjaku after Gojo threatened Kenjaku. When he made that date and he was like, let's do it at this time, I only want to mourn someone once, and he barely even got to touch him. There's so much wrong with that. There's so much missing about that. That's not the writing that I feel like I know Gege for, and for that reason, I put it on my list of missed opportunities slash bad writing. Another one is all the trademark techniques that are supposed to be like not necessarily insta kill but Duraneg. Soul splitting katana, most recent chapter. Sukuna said it's taking longer to heal. And I get it. Sukuna is the peak of Jujutsu. So, of course, something with the Soul Splitting Katana is not going to do anything to him. But let's be for real, Gege. Don't make Sukuna like don't do it because I see the route he's trying to go, and I don't want him to do that. I don't want him to retcon every single thing that's been hyped up and hasn't barely been used yet to the full extent, and then watch it go away. That doesn't that's not going to do anything. And in addition, people thinking that Sukuna is going to win, for me, that's bad writing because well, actually, let me not say that. The route in which we're going with Sukuna winning will be bad writing for me. But if he takes it a certain way to where he ties up all the story points and then Sukuna wins, I'm okay with that. However, outside of that, I'm okay with everyone dying and Megami being the only one alive to live a normal life. That's kind of where I am currently, is that I think that would be a good route to go, and so that's kind of where I foresee the story going. I could be wrong, but back to the main thing at hand, the techniques that have been used. Maki's sword, it should be doing more. Now, I could be speaking too soon, but these are just my raw thoughts. Pause. I think it could be doing more. What's another one? Jacob's Ladder could have been doing more. You're telling me Yuta in a domain expansion with a maxed output Jacob's Ladder and Sukuna is chilling? No, 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 no. That doesn't work here. That doesn't work here. I can't do that. I can't get with that. We have to do better. I can't. I can't. And I'm a JJK fan. Like I said, top two. But we can't have that, Gege. We gotta. I don't know if it's the motivation. I don't know what's going on, but we can't have that. And so things like that, Jacob's Ladder, Maki's Soul Splitting Katana, other things and other kits and specialties, Yuji's cursed techniques that he has, Chozo using other stuff to fight. Like I get it. There's a cliff between Sukuna and everyone else, but use that to your advantage. Don't let him fight at 50%. Have him fight at full and just bring in everyone. If that's what you're going to do anyway, which is have people fight periodically against Sukuna, just bring in everyone and just make it work. And I know that there's an argument for Sukuna. If he sees everyone, then he'll go all out, and then everyone will probably die. It's kind of seems like that's going to happen anyway, because why bring less people to keep dying? If that makes sense. Like, it's like doing wave after wave of people who are certainly going to die. You know what I mean? And if they're not wearing him down, you might as well throw everyone. So I don't really see the logic for that for me personally. And then the last thing that I'm going to talk about is, oh, y'all gonna hate me for this. Another missed opportunity was Sukuna versus Gojo. Now, what I feel could have been done better is the death of Gojo in terms of fighting Sukuna. Let me tell you why. And you can already disagree. That's okay. You don't have to agree. But let me tell you why. For me, it doesn't make sense the way that Gojo went out with all the plot points we have. Now, I will say, for Gojo being the strongest, this was a good way to wrap up his character. And I'm not opposed to that. I'm not opposed to that at all. Because that's really what helped solidify him as A, the strongest, in quotes, and B, being Satoru Gojo. And that's something that we needed the parallel for. And I appreciate the way in which he wrapped that up when he's talking to Geto and he's talking to Nanami. I appreciate Gege's writing for that. However, before that, you can't make Sukuna look like he's sweating just to like off screen him. That doesn't that, I don't like it, and it wasn't believable. That's one thing that I've always known about that. And I think there's a YouTuber, his name is Sufferance, and I usually watch his content too, of course. But there's something he said about believability. And he said that it's not that it's necessarily bad writing, it's just that it's not believable. And I think that he's telling the truth. It doesn't look believable. When you have, even if Gojo in the afterlife, when he says that Sukuna wasn't giving his all, and people are saying how, oh no, Sukuna was going to no diff Gojo, Sukuna needed Maharaga to beat Gojo. He needed Maharaga to get that advance. And technically, yes, he did hold back. But the reason why is because Sukuna's not stupid. He's not going to use techniques that aren't going to work. He's only going to do the things that are successful. So I have to stop and think about the narrative of Sukuna versus Gojo and how it played out. And I feel like that ties into the whole Gojo making comments at Kenjaku or seeing Kenjaku on his way out. Like those are such critical moments and opportunities and so many things that have been missed out on from the most recent chapters in writing JJK. And as a fan, I'm going to keep reading, of course. I'm not going to be a hater to such a degree. I will say it gets a little hard sometimes. Recently, Maki's doing her thing, and I can't be happier. I want to see Hikari versus Urarame. I want to see that finish. There's a lot of ways for Gege to tie this up in a nice bow, even when it has a couple wrinkles. And so that's where I feel like we have the missed opportunities. And for that reason, I'm going to end it here. Those are really all the things I wanted to talk about. Tune in to see me on Twitch, too. Make sure y'all follow me on Twitch, TVG Bundy. Y'all can see me stream live. We can do some top 30s. We can do some rankings. It's whatever. Y'all let me know. But anyway, this is TVG here signing off here. Y'all stay easy. Keep reading JJK. Don't be a hater. And stop arguing on TikTok. And stop arguing with me. Because I'm tired of arguing with you. Peace.